Hi everybody, thanks for joining me for today's video. My name is David. I'm a life coach and I make these videos to help you guys heal from your trauma, emotionally traumatic, abusive relationships. And I truly believe they all start in childhood. Today's video is about the evil, narcissistic step monster. Mother or a father, stepmom or stepdad, both. I'm talking about these today because it's important, because so many of us come from these broken homes and our parents remarry. And with so many of this happening, I know that it's probably even more profound for people like us. Like I said, a lot of this comes from our childhood, and so we have dysfunctional families and their marriages don't work out and often remarry. So I think this video is very important to most of you. I think most of you have experienced this. Not all of you, obviously. A lot of you have parents that did stay together and maybe shouldn't have. A lot of you have parents that stay together and now they're getting divorced. So what I did is I looked up some statistics real quick from the Stepfamily Foundation. Majority of families have shifted from the original biologically bonded mother, father, child. We are now a nation in which the majority of families are divorced and most go on to remarry or living together situations. The U.S. Bureau of Census, 1,300 new step families every day. And this was years ago, so I'm sure it's more. Over 50% of families are remarried or recoupled. Average marriage lasts 7 years. Half end in divorce. Now we know more than half end in divorce. And 75% remarry. It's a lot. That is a lot of remarrying going on and a lot of stepmothers and a lot of stepfathers. 80% are remarried, or 80% of the remarried both have careers. I mean, this just screams neglect. It's impossible to not be. Boston University, new study, career women, this is sad, career women who earned over $100,000 and had married men with children, over 75% said if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't marry a man with children after they already did it. Sad. So it wasn't the man that was the problem, it was the children. And that's sad. That's sad. That's just nothing but regret and resentment. And that's where this leads to, regret and resentment. I'm going to show you something important, very important study here. Because I had a stepmom. I met my stepmom with my younger brother, right? Months later, she ends up marrying my dad. We all live together now. And all of a sudden, she's at age 27, has a 10-year-old son and a 6-year-old son. At 27. All of a sudden. Just like that, within months of meeting us. Regret and resentment. Trust me. In a lot of these relationships, beginning's typically great. Not always. Sometimes they come right in, they hate you, they don't care, they're still going to marry your mom or your dad, even when they hate you. But typically, these start great and typically fairly young. They might be fun. They might be cool. Okay? This isn't mom or dad right away, right? This is mom or dad's girlfriend, boyfriend. And if they're narcissistic, everybody knows they can be somewhat cool. You know, there's great times, golden periods. There's times in the beginning where they tend to be fun, but could be inappropriate too. Back to my stepmom, I remember I met her when I was 9. She was my mom at 10, and she was, by 12, she was nasty. By the time I was 12. And I remember I must have been 13, maybe 14. I get in her car one day and she tells me a joke that was just totally inappropriate. She said, what was it, if I can remember now? Koalas are like men. They eat shoots and leaves. And I thought that was funny. And I felt like, oh, God, you know, my stepmom's cool. Like, oh, she can be so cool sometimes. Yeah, so it could be good times, fun times, cool times. They could be like a friend sometimes. In the beginning can start out very nice, you know. I mean, narcissistic relationships like this typically start out really great. It's the high of everything, and there's no stress yet, okay? They may be a great parent at the beginning. But then the stress sets in. From goodtherapy.org, article states, this is the title, Are Stepchildren of Higher Risk for Abuse Than Biological Children? Absolutely. Absolutely. All the studies are out there. Go ahead and read them. They state, according to sociobiology, genetic preservation is at the core of human behavior. Amazing. Negative methods of preserving genetic lineage include violence and aggression toward people who are not blood relatives. Very interesting. Studies also show that stepfathers abuse children more than biological fathers. And we all know now that women are more domestically violent in total. I've looked up different countries. It's about 20 to 40% of biological parents are abusive. Physically. That's just awful. Awful stats. It's amazing. It's amazing. What I see here is a true lack of bonding, first of all. If you take away the narcissistic, just the step parent stepping into filling the role of a parent, whatever age the children are, it's not at birth, right? It's not at birth. And that's where bonding begins. And bonding leads to emotional connection between the child and the parent. And I really think that's a big factor missing when we talk about step families. Big, huge factor. Emotional neglect. Here's just some of the things. Pitting children against the spouse or partner. Telling the other spouse the children did something they didn't do. The children said they don't want to live with you. The children said they don't love you. They want to leave. These kinds of things. Finding ways to get rid of the children. Your children are crazy. They need help. Put them in a hospital. Your children have no respect for me. Kick them out. How dare you pick the child's side, your children's side before my side? I'm the parent. Familiar? Selfishness. Narcissistic step-parent may compete for attention with the children. A narcissist will most likely do this with their children anyway. But now you take away the biological factor, and now a narcissist has to be a parent all of a sudden to these children, and really they're just competing with the spouse. One of the worst things you can do to a child is have another child. I'm not saying all together, it does help them very much. But it's the worst fear of the child. They don't want another brother or sister to compete with for attention. Too many, and it leads to neglect no matter what. You can only have so many children before you start neglecting them. Trust me. When you get up to numbers like 10 and stuff, there's no way. There's no favoritism and no neglect. Big time. And parentification. But a lack of compassion and empathy. That's what you're going to get from a narcissist. You have a narcissistic step-parent, lack of compassion and empathy. And all interactions are on their terms, which means completely never equal, never fair. I think bonding really needs to happen between a child and a parent. That's what first happens. And so that mother, that father bonds with the child. That, like I said, leads to emotional connection, an absolute necessary emotional need for child development. Without it, the child won't fully develop. Like I said, I know a lot of you have these stories. Feel free to share them down below. I really appreciate your guys' time that you take to share these stories so that others can see them. Read the stories. Read the comments, you guys. Okay? Know that you're not alone. Know that this isn't just happening to you. And try to understand what happened. Some of the biggest problems we come out of with narcissistic relationships is all this self-doubt, guilt, shame, depression, anxiety. So it could be just as damaging as a real parent, Seek help if you need it. Most of us will, after this, need it. And yeah, I appreciate any guys' stories you could share and ask questions. Let me know what you guys think of this video. Of some of the stats I've presented are just incredible, and there's just so much more. I could sit here for an hour and read off just horrible, awful stats. It's disgusting. It's almost like most of us aren't really made to be parents until we have our own child, it seems like. And this leads to adoption. Something I've seen very profound in this community, that many of us are adopted, like myself. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I'm going to do another video about adopted families and narcissistic parents and neglect and stuff like this. Thanks, guys. Always ask questions and always love yourself first. I'll see you guys again later. Thank you.